Happy New Year! As we go into 2026, instead of telling you how to build the best year of your life like every single other influencer is doing online, I figured I would just tell you a little bit about what I'm noticing, what I'm sort of working on, what we're sort of going into together in 2026. My name is Sean. I'm a mental health coach. I see 40 plus clients a week. I have a 98% satisfaction score from over 1,800 ratings. And the average client sees a 56% increase in sense of purpose through working with me. So, the first thing that I'm noticing about 2026 is that time has been going by incredibly fast. I don't know if anyone else is noticing this, but maybe since around COVID, it seems like time has just sped up drastically. Time is just flying by. A couple of examples. Christmas really snuck up on my wife this year. We had to sort of like scramble to get everything together for Christmas. In fact, just a little sort of funny story. I had ordered some stuff for my wife for her Christmas presents, and only one of those things actually came, and I was terrified that I wasn't going to have anything for her to open on Christmas. But fortunately, her mom came in clutch and like single-handedly just sent us like Santa came and delivered a whole bunch of presents. And so we had a whole bunch to open on Christmas, and now she'll just get some gifts after Christmas. But I was like, I'm going to have to go out on Christmas Eve and buy a whole bunch of presents for her because the presents haven't come on time. And then the second example is that I'm just really noticing how much older my parents are getting, which is really kind of scary. And it is really making me prioritize the things that I want to spend time on, that I really make it a priority to like reach out and call and talk to my parents, because it is becoming increasingly clear that I'm not going to have them around forever. And that's really scary. There's this theory of time that I heard that I really like, which is that when you are younger, a year or a week or a month or whatever length of time is a larger percentage of your life. So for instance, if you are 4 years old, 1 year is a quarter of your life. It's a huge percentage of your life. But as you get older, that year becomes less and less of a percentage of your life. And because it is a smaller ratio, it makes it feel like less time. So time goes by faster and faster as you get older. One of the things that I do every year is I have this like New Year's document where I lay out things that I sort of want to focus on over the next year. And then throughout the year, I'll make little edits to it. I'll sort of update either things that I've, accomplished throughout the year, or I'll, change things that I don't care about as much anymore. And then at the end of the year, I'll go back and I'll do a little review of, what I accomplished, what things, what priorities have changed for me, what things I want to iterate on, all those sorts of things. And usually, in the past, it's been really sort of fun and exciting. But this year, I wasn't feeling the same spark from it. I still did it, but I wasn't feeling excited about it. What I was feeling excited about was that I actually ended up starting to sort of plan the year instead, sort of planning what I'm going to be creating over the next year. And that was invigorating. It was one of those nights where, it was like 7 o'clock and I started working on this idea. I started writing a bunch of aphorisms because there was this creator that I like that, speaks in a lot of aphoristic ways. And I liked that. And I was like, I want to write some aphorisms. So I started writing a bunch of aphorisms. And from those aphorisms came an entire year's worth of content. It was like I looked up and it was suddenly 3 a.m. and my wife was asking me to come to bed. So just to give you sort of a little sneak peek of 2026, in winter, I'm going to be making a lot of content that is all about breaking open the cage that you feel stuck in. Basically, the patterns that you find yourself repeating over and over and over again. We're going to be working on helping you to break out of those. In spring, we're going to be helping you get what you deserve. In summer, we're going to be helping you to take action. And in autumn, we're going to be letting all of the bullshit fall away. And in doing this, in sort of this different approach that I've been taking, I've started to notice that something is shifting in the way that I have been doing my work, which is that always before, the effort was the glue. The effort was what held everything together and made everything work. And I am incredibly proud of what it is that I've built. But recently, I've started to notice that this change to my work has been giving it its own architecture, where instead of me having to crank the handle manually, instead the cogs are starting to sort of turn by themselves, and that feels really magical to me. I'm a big believer in this idea of systems over goals. Goals are something that are born of the ego. They are something that say, this is where I am and this is where I want to be, which ultimately implies that where you are is not good enough. And so for a lot of people that I work with, what I see is that when they are constantly chasing goals, they constantly feel like they are not good enough. And systems are really cool because they accomplish goals as a byproduct. So when you set a system in place, what ends up happening is that you just do the thing every day or every, whatever cadence, every week, every month, whatever it is. You just do the thing and the goal ends up getting accomplished as a byproduct. But it allows you to, be in the moment, like people say, like people parrot on Instagram or whatever. Just be in the moment, man. It allows you to be in the moment and just focus on doing the thing. And the rest sort of takes care of itself. And don't get me wrong, I have had systems in place for the work that I do. It's just that they're getting more sophisticated. Like I said, I no longer have to crank this handle. All of a sudden now the cogs are starting to turn on their own. The other thing that I'm noticing is that the work is getting more cohesive. Always before, it just felt like I was, sort of talking about whatever concepts happened to be coming to mind at the time. I'm starting to notice the commonalities between my work. I'm starting to notice the underpinning of what it is that I really do in my work. And what's cool about that is that it allows me to be more intentional about it. So I'll give you sort of a parallel example. When I first started coaching, there was a lot, and I mean, even to this day, a lot of the work that I do is intuitive. And so there was a lot that I was sort of naturally doing, but I didn't necessarily know what it was that I was doing. And when I started getting training as a coach, my mentors started to explain to me what it was that I was actually doing. And in doing so, they gave me these like containers to put the techniques that I was doing in. And what that resulted in, like I talked about a moment ago, is being able to be more intentional with those techniques. And so similarly, as I see this sort of underpinning of my work, I'm able to be more intentional about what it is that I am delivering to y'all, the value that I am delivering to y'all. And I'm really curious if it will appear any different from the outside, because it's totally possible that I have always been speaking to these particular sort of concepts and ideas. The underpinning of my work has always been clear to others, just not necessarily to me. And so it may appear completely the same from the outside. Or it may seem like there is this more sort of cohesive idea that binds everything together. I'm genuinely not sure, and I'm curious. So if you have thoughts, I would love to hear what you think as the year goes on. So ultimately, I am both excited and nervous about 2026. I think that there are a lot of really, really cool things coming down the pipeline. I have this like big old document of, things that I'm going to be working on and trying to, deliver value, help you all through, that sort of thing. And at the same time, there are definitely some really big transitions happening. I'm definitely in a state of a really big transition. And transitions are hard. Transitions are the hardest parts of life. Whenever you think about a really challenging part of life, it's always a transition, you know? Death is a transition, marriage is a transition, moving is a transition. All of these, divorce is a transition. All of these different things, they're all just transitions. And so it is definitely a big transition that we are going into in 2026. I wrote this sort of carousel for Instagram talking about my top 3 predictions for 2026. That'll come out, I think, like mid-January or so, depending on when you're watching this. But I'm excited to see what 2026 brings, and also a little terrified. Quick clarifying question before I ask you these reflection questions. How do you think best? So I'm going to ask you some questions to reflect on, but it's useful to know how you think best. So everyone thinks best in different ways. Some people think best by journaling. Some people think best by taking walks, going on drives, having conversations with people. Take a little time to identify how you think best, and then do that thing as you think about these reflection questions. So 1, what goals have you been chasing? 2, what systems exist in your life? 3, did you choose to put them there, or were they put there for you? And 4, what is the architecture of those systems like? And if you would like to share any of those reflections, I read every single comment that people put. So I would love to hear any thoughts that you have, any reflections that you have, or, you know, as always, any feedback. I always love feedback. And if you just got through the holidays and you are absolutely miserable, absolutely exhausted from having to, you know, trudge through the holidays because you're just riddled with holiday trauma, this video that'll either pop up here or down the description, depending on where you're watching this, goes into detail about how I help clients to work through and heal from holiday trauma. I hope that's helpful. I hope this video has been helpful, and I'll see you in 2026. Bye.